Thanks everybody for being here. My name is Kelley. I am the Chief Growth Officer for Absorb Software. I'm really excited to be here today because I, like many of you, have been working on skills strategies and skills software for probably about 5 years now. And it has never been any harder than it is today to try to keep that skills strategy up. So in this 15 minutes, I'm going to try to share with you a quick framework about how Absorb, how we think about building skills strategies in this very fast-paced world that we walk into today. I'm also going to give you some very clear examples of ways in which that we have addressed some of this for both our employees and for our customers. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the back-end systems that likely need to change as we walk into 2026 and 2027. So I'm sure many of you are here because you probably feel like you can't keep up. As I said, I have built, 6 different versions of a skill strategy, both for my own company, and I've talked to many customers about this same challenge. And the reality is it's becoming incredibly hard. It feels like your skill strategy is probably working overtime at this point in time. But that's because it was designed for a moment in time that really doesn't exist anymore. The reality is that AI is absolutely reshaping how work gets done and what skills actually matter today versus a year ago. And those roles are actually evolving. I remember being on stage a couple years ago and we kept talking about how jobs, you move from jobs to skills. But the reality is that the skills aren't just changing, the roles are actually changing much faster. And I'm sure many of you here are actually facing things like constant role reinvention. You're probably being asked to have a lot of pressure to produce more ROI around the productivity of the people in your organizations. And many of the learning models that we've all used, that we built our careers on, they were built for static roles. They were built for things like periodic training cycles, and in reality, that's just not the case, and that's not the world we live in. It's not a criticism of anybody's skill strategy, it's just that the world is shifting, and we have to shift with it. So many organizations think about AI transformation as a tech transformation or something that needs to be done through tech. But the reality is when we think about what needs to happen with AI transformation, it's actually a people and capability challenge more so than it is a tech challenge. When we started to take a look at both for our employees and for our customers, how can we help support the skill strategies that need to change very quickly, we thought about it in 4 different particular pillars. The first was really talking about how to build a reinvention roadmap. So one of the things that we had done is we really wanted to make it important that every single role in your organization, that they know how their roles are going to change, because there's going to be things that they need to do today that they will no longer need to do tomorrow, and that needs to be explicitly clear to those employees or to those customers so that they understand where they're going next. The second pillar that we think about is adaptive intelligence, and that really is about a changing workforce. So there are different types of skills that we need that I think about are almost like super skills within your organization. You have to start to be looking for people who are much more curious, much more systems thinkers, people who are thinking about root cause analysis and data interpretation, because all of those routine activities that they used to do, they are no longer responsible for. So the skills, when we think about not just from a hiring perspective, but also from a learning and development perspective, we have to start adapting the ways in which that we're thinking about the people that we're bringing in and their ability to have some of those super skills. AI activation is one I think that many of us have struggled with for the last year. I don't know about you, but we have made pretty much every single AI tool available to our employees, but that doesn't mean adoption. We made access, but we definitely are not seeing the adoption of those different tools. So when we think about the AI activation, we really had to set real usage expectations for our people. We had to talk about what it meant to have good AI usage. And more importantly, we had to create an emotionally safe space for people to experiment and to try things, because on their own, people are not naturally gravitating towards replacing their jobs or replacing skills that they would normally do. There's an emotional response to that where many of our people are saying, I'm just not willing to do that. So creating that space and being able to set those expectations around it and understanding how people are using it is incredibly important. The last piece is around the AI ecosystem. Technology, as I said, is not the core transformational piece when we think about AI transformation, But it is incredibly important as you're here and you're walking around and you're looking at all the vendors who are here, it's important to think about the system that's going to sit behind that transformation and making sure that it'll keep up and support those AI capabilities. So let me just give you a perfect example about how we actually do this in practice. So when we started this is about the role reinvention. We started with just mapping how each high volume role is actually going to evolve. So we took a look at every single role and we talked about things around what are the skills that are required for that particular role today and what are the skills that they're going to need tomorrow. So if you think about maybe say a customer support agent who works in a software company, we wanted to take a look at those are roles that very much feel as if their jobs potentially are going away in the next year or two. So we wanted to map those particular roles and help them understand which parts of their job are going to become easier and because they're going to be replaced, and which are the new skills that we're going to need them to start to think about. We identified what those skills might be and we talked about those skills with that particular person so that they understood that this is not about replacing you, this is about elevating the role that you have, and you're actually going to have the opportunity to learn very many new skills. And then you have to start to think about that from a development plan standpoint. So putting together that from a development plan standpoint and thinking about all the different ways that you're going to need to support those skills. Obviously, we sell an LMS and we have e-learning courses and things like that within the system, but it's going to be so much more than just doing that. You have to start to think about things like role plays and simulations. You need to think about shadowing peers. You need to think about assigning them mentors within the organization. They need to be able to put these things in practice because many of these skills are going to feel very, very new. So let's give a concrete example about the one that we were just talking about, that customer support agent. So what's going to happen to that customer support agent who's working in a software company is that AI is going to be able to answer, how do I reset SSO all day long? So that may be something that they learned as they went through onboarding, but in reality, that's something that's going to be able to be handled by any of the AI tools that exist out there. But what the AI is not able to understand is when the SSO breaks because you have a compliance change or because you have some new security rollout, then the skills that customer support agent actually become very new. So now we need to start thinking about new skills that have to do with dependencies of systems. We need to think about root cause analysis. We need them to be able to understand how APIs work. We need them to understand what it actually means within those systems, because those are the things that AI is not as good at being able to put those things together. So it's incredibly important as we think about those roles that when we're talking to that customer support agent, that they understand that certain parts of the things that they're used to do they're no longer going to be required to do. But at the end of the day, they're going to have new skills. They're going to actually learn new types of things like learning data patterns, which is going to actually elevate their role, and it's going to help them grow within both the organization and where they're going to be able to go in their careers. So when we think about what AI is doing, we also want to take a look at it from other roles. So as I said, we did this for every single role across our organization, and we can take a look at it from another type of role, an HRBP. So in the HRBP situation, you most likely are going to have things that will shrink within that role. Doing things like policy Q&A, documentation, comp looks-up, performance cycle administrative work. Those are things that are already starting to be replaced in many of our systems today from an HR perspective. But that doesn't mean that there isn't still a very important role for an HRBP in your organization. They need to focus on that resilient work, the things that AI is not going to be able to do, things like organizational effectiveness. When we think about things like leadership coaching and team health, doing scenario planning for the AI era, that customer support agent, there is a ton of work from the HRBP standpoint that needs to start to prepare that team as they go through some very fearful times as we exist right now. They need to understand and learn how they support both the leaders and the ICs in your organization through that change and through that transformation. So these are some of those new skills that I'm sure many HRBPs wanted to be able to spend their time on. But when they don't have to do things like survey distribution, it really opens up the door for them to focus on things like succession planning, capability planning, things like that. So we talked a little bit about the framework. We talked a little bit the skills that are going to be changing. But none of this will really happen if we don't start to think about the systems that support us behind the scenes. We can have all of these great ideas, we can run all these different new skill queries, but the reality is I can tell you today that I just gave you a list of all the new skills for those 2 roles, and 6 months from now it might be something entirely different. And that's the scary part about many of our skill strategies is we thought AI 2-3 years ago was actually going to save us, that was going to be able to make our skill strategies scalable. But it's gotten exponentially faster how fast these skills are actually changing. So the system underneath actually has to change as well. So when we think about the systems that we have that are running some of these skill strategies, your system has to know who's ready to do different types of roles, who's ready with these new types of skills within your organization. You need to be able to see what's driving performance. I know we've all been talking about learning and how we need to tie learning to outcomes and business impact. That is still incredibly important, but that can no longer live outside of your systems. That data has to come in and actually fuel your systems. You need to see which of those customer support reps, you need to understand which ones are able to do some of these new skills and which ones cannot. So now it's not just about tracking whether or not they completed that training or they did their mentorship session. It's important to know that not only have they completed those trainings, but are they practicing it? Are the behaviors actually changing? And are you seeing that skill being applied in the work that they're doing every single day? The 4th pillar that we really see from a system standpoint is you need systems that are going to intervene. So again, many of us have built learning strategies and skill strategies that are very much a pull situation. We need to have more of a push situation so that we can intervene when some of these employees and customers are finding themselves in a situation where they don't know what to do. So the ability for a system to be able to intervene, to understand our people, to understand the performance of our organization, and to be able to make suggestions about whether that is new content you might need, that might be different types of trainings that everybody needs. Creating these infinite number of personalized learning paths for these employees is going to become incredibly important, and you can't do that on your own. You need a system to be able to help support you. And at the end of the day, the system absolutely has to be able to prove the impact. This is going to be one of the hardest things that we've been talking about, is how do you prove that all of those new skill strategies, all those new skills that we've said our teams need to do, how are you going to be able to prove that it's actually moving the needle forward? And historically, many of our systems, we can send data to Power BI, even if we're there yet, which many of us actually are still not in that space. But being able to send that data to a Power BI or a Tableau was a great alternative. But moving forward in the next year, all of that data needs to start to come in and fuel your systems. You need to know exactly what's happening in your business, because you will be able to start to trigger some of those new skill strategies when you know what's happening in the business and where performance is really lagging across the organization. When we talk about Absorb, the way that we think about it is powered by a system called Aura. So Aura is the system that's going to be running, it's a closed loop system that allows different types of work to enter the system, and the system is going to actually get smarter. So when we think about this particular system, there could be 2 different ways that the work comes in. It could be that you're an organization that's going to start with the measurement. So you're going to start with this business-led entry. Your CHRO, your CFO is going to come to you and they're going to say, we've had some challenges with our onboarding. It's taking us 6 months for our employees to get to productivity. That has to get down to 3. So you're starting with a business measurement. You know exactly what you need to do, and that's going to start this loop that will then start to have your employees being able to ask questions, apply different types of work, have that experiential type of learning, whether that's on the job or whether that is through different courses. But most importantly, the system has to learn. With every turn of this wheel, the system has to get smarter, and we have to understand which things that our employees are doing and which activities that we are having our teams participate in are actually driving that performance. The other way that you can start is obviously through the learner. Maybe you're not ready to start by starting with the measurement. So you might just have employees who are now on day 45. They have to go meet with a customer tomorrow, and there's a deck that they've never seen before. When that happens, they do not have time to go look in their LMS. They do not have time to go ask somebody. They need a natural interface where they can ask questions about, tell me about this customer, tell me what their history is, tell me what their challenge is, and tell me what I need to talk about from this deck. It has to happen instantly in that moment, and that's what your CEOs and your CFOs are expecting. They're not going to be okay with them being able to sort of be in a reactive state and not being prepared for that call tomorrow because of the availability of this information. So same loop, same intelligence, same evidence, but we really have something that is a very smart and intelligent system. So if there's anything that I can leave you with today, it's that if you are still training for roles that you have today, it's time to upgrade and it's time to iterate on that. You have to really start thinking about every role in your organization and start thinking about how you're going to prepare those roles for tomorrow. And it really comes down to being able to evolve both the way you think about skills, the way you think about the types of super skills you have in your organization. It comes down to being able to set expectations around AI usage and being able to also create that ecosystem and that system that's going to sit behind these strategies that are going to be able to keep up with you and they're not lagging behind. So that's our Blitz session. Thank you so much for joining. If any of you want to talk about super skills or any of the new skills that you're working on, I'd love to meet you at our booth. Thanks, everybody.